Hello, Blake. My name is Michael Gorska. I'm from the Curtis Library, and I would like to thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview for us. First of all, what is your name and what do you do?
My name is Blake Hendrickson, and I am sort of a Swiss Army knife type of guy in that I like to do all sorts of different things. I like to sculpt in wood, I like to draw, carve acrylic, and most of all, I guess I like to think of myself as a storyteller.
Speaking of stories, tell us about your helpers here.
These helpers are sort of a direct spin-off of sort of wood block buffet workshops that I give for kids. By wood block buffet, I'm talking about offering up kids the opportunity to construct their own wood assembly with whatever their imagination requires that they create. And when I would go to these schools and libraries to do these sorts of events, the kids would ask me, how long does it take to create one of the things that I do? And the embarrassing part was I never keep track. So that was, for a kid, is the wrong answer. So I made up this story that I have. It doesn't take any time at all to create things because I have an army of helpers that live with me, that we work together, we play together, and more importantly, we create art together.
And how many of these helpers do you have?
Well, these helpers first started to appear at the after a Christmas holiday when they went on sale at a store in Bath. And over the course of 3 years that they carried these particular creatures, I would go in shortly after the New Year and buy all they had left over. So at the end of 3 years, I was holding on to 120 of them, which they just make me smile having them around. But over the course of the years, I'm down to about 30 or so of them.
Tell us about your new studio here at Cabot Mill.
I don't think I've had a studio outside of my home for 30, 40 years, easily, maybe more. And the issue was that within my home I had become creatively gridlocked. There was no room in my garage, there was no room in what I had created as sort of a video studio. It was just all chock-a-block with ideas and not enough room to execute them. So I was fortunate enough to run across somebody I knew who had some space available. And we agreed that we'd get together, work on some projects, and I would move my stuff in.
Tell us about the different stories that you've created with these moose.
Well, initially it was all about getting together and making creative, stories about how we make art and how we like to do things like that. But over time, the power of storytelling is it can convey more than just one thing. So if I wanted to sort of be able to tell lessons about society, culture, history, the flow of time, these creatures are very useful in doing that, because through a conveyance of a pretend, you can tell stories that in many ways reflect actuality and cause people to be more thoughtful than they might be otherwise, which is easy for kids because I think they are basically thoughtful.
Can you tell us something about the works that you currently have on display on the walls of the Curtis Library?
The Curtis Library has been very good to me across the years. I've been doing the woodblock buffet type sculpture that I do for decades, but I'd never put it in the public eye. And then about 6 years ago, I approached the library and asked if I could put some of these things in the main thing itself, main library itself, in some of the alcoves. And so for the first time, my work was in the public eye. And it was very interesting that the feedback that I got, it was very encouraging. And as a result of that, I started to do events at the library for kids where they would sort of come in with their moms or their dads and create their own wood sculptures. And that was great fun. It was the first time I'd ever been in basically an educational situation with kids. And I liked it so much I continued it outside of the Curtis Memorial Library environment.